by all means, guys, go ahead and like type in any of your questions or comments, and you can jump in. By the way, you are awesome. And this also smells like strawberries. Actually, I think it's cherry. Okay. One of the very first things that I want to start jumping into, guys, is if we're understanding this class is about the tools for the business that's happening all around us. I want us to begin getting into the mentality of seeing everything as a tool, right? We need to look at everything as a tool. And when I say everything, I mean everything. So everything now is becoming a tool. And so how we use it is going to be very important. If we look at everything as nails, every single tool we pick up is going to be a hammer. So we've got to get a little bit more creative about how we're utilizing these tools. And so the very first thing I really want to talk about is the iBuyer side of things, okay? Because I think we have not really fully explored the iBuyer as a tool across the board, whether you're Keller Williams, whether you're EXP, whether you're Compass, whether you're some random little tiny company sitting out in the middle of nowhere, Bob's Bait and Tackle in real estate. I don't know that we've explored the iBuyer scenario as a very real plan for our agents and use it as a tool. I think we've looked at the iBuyer more as an enemy. So we watch these companies come in, they have a ton of equity, or not equity, they have a ton of money that they can spend to purchase homes. And we think that they're looking at, we've looked at them as a cutoff, like they're disrupting. We need to change our mindset. And if you're on this call and you're not in that mindset, awesome. If you are, change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. I think you really need to consider on the iBuyer side of things, how does that give you an option to be able to tell your sellers, like, we can make this purchase go much faster if that's what you desire. If you're worried about the way the market may change, let's do this faster. And so you can go out and start shopping the iBuyers to create a plan for them to be an asset, to be a tool. Also, what can happen is that you can utilize that as, I can go get an instant offer from you right now to make sure we can have a litmus test on what your home value is going to be to a purchaser. So now we can give more data or more credit back to the idea of the home. And here's the thing. A lot of the iBuyers, they don't need a tour of the home to get you a price for the home. So that's one of the big things. A lot of the iBuyers don't need you to do a tour of the home to be able to get a price for the home. They need a few, they usually do like a questionnaire. They want some pictures, and they want to go through just a couple of understandings about the equipment and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, none of your iBuyers truly need to tour a home to be able to make an offer for homes. And so right now you may have some of your sellers that are getting nervous and want to withdraw. Some of your sellers may be getting a little too anxious about what's happening. Some of them may have a real desire or need to sell and just don't know what to do next. And we need to be able to utilize the iBuyer as a tool to go in and do this. Some of you may already have. Some of you may be thinking, like, I didn't think about that. Now's the time to really think about it. And when you control the iBuyer, it's a tool. If you allow your clients to start searching for opportunity and they go out and they find the iBuyer will cut you off. That's just true. And so they will win the business and they'll become the fiduciary in this moment. So you've got to be able to make sure that you're having consistent conversations with your people and using that as a tool. How can the iBuyer become a tool for you versus being what we've considered the iBuyer as an enemy in your business? So some of your clients are still in a very big need to sell, and it's going to have a delay. The market has already shown a little bit of a delay. If you're not seeing it in your area, awesome. We're not seeing it too much in Houston, but I have had conversations with agents to where it's almost hit the brakes. And they're just curious. People are just curious and they're scared. And so the little caveat in that moment is that if we're having conversations daily with our clients, if we're connecting back to our clients literally every single day, then we're going to understand kind of where their standings are and where their bearings are. And if they get nervous and they want to withdraw, one of the ways in which we can have another conversation with them is to be able to speak specifically to some of the tools in which they can use through you. But if you allow it to happen without you, it will happen without you. That's just the truth. If you allow it to happen without you, it will happen without you. And the way it happens without you is that you're not driving the seat, or you're not in the driver's seat. Stay in the driver's seat. I think iBuyers are a real big piece to the puzzle. Now, here's a second kind of caveat in that iBuyer scenario is that right now, if you really were to look at your database and you were to dig in and go through how many of your clients are considering being their own investors or building their own portfolio for real estate, right now is a real good time to start having conversations and to blast out into your world and say, hey guys, if I come across properties, how many of you are interested in purchasing homes to start building your real estate portfolio? That one conversation could create a very cool cascaded moment where a lot of people who you didn't even know could raise their hand now can, because of a couple of things. Looking at the interest rates, people can purchase homes at a different kind of risk than they have in the past. Okay, so now we've got iBuyers as a tool for your homes, but you may be even able to create some investor moments out of your clientele, the people who are willing, ready, and able to invest. That's a great moment to dig back into our database and to understand, okay, if I come across the best deal and I myself am not able to purchase it, would you be willing? Now you've got people who are willing, ready, and able to help you be a tool for your, that's funny, to help you be a tool for your clients. I bet that there's a lot of investor ready people in your database. We just haven't thought to have that conversation yet. And I think you need to be having those conversations now, because here's what could be happening soon, right? Let's just not pretend like it's not what it isn't. As the economy creates a downturn, there are going to be people who are in the very near future, in the next couple of months, going to be in dire situations. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they've got to throw out the baby with the bathwater, but it does mean that they may need to sell their home to get all the equity back out of it. And you may be the person who can help them in this time of financial crisis be a light. I know it's going to be a weird conversation. And if you've ever been in any of the economic downturns, you know it's weird to go and have a conversation with somebody, to talk to them about the possibility of losing their home. But they don't have to lose their equity. See, when we're looking at helping people build wealth, we can be a tool for them. We can be the tool for them. We can help them understand it. So you've got to be able to look at it in a couple ways. One, an iBuyer is a tool for you to be able to get some of your sellers, some of your listings that are fearful but still have a timeline, and time is more important than money. That may be an option right now so that you can go and grab it, because the longer that we spend in this space, the more shaky it could get. And so we just need to be cognizant of that. I always talk about this. When is the best time to buy a house? And that's a rhetorical question, so you don't have to all unmute yourself. The best time to buy a house or to sell a house is right now, because right now are the conditions that we know. So if you're looking at any of your sellers and they're like, well, is this a good time? The answer is, we just don't know. But we do know what we know today. And if we were going to do it today, this is what it would look like. Is that something that you want to do, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? So looking at the iBuyers in that space. And then the last thing that I'm going to say is this. We haven't put enough life into a real estate agent becoming an investor. We have the ability to really engage in our own opportunity to purchase homes so that we can build our own investment portfolio, so we can build our own wealth. And I'm going to tell you, this is a higher conversation for me to have. And if you are willing to, I would reach out to your mortgage partner, whoever your mortgage partner is. Mine is Kelly Rogers over at Movement Mortgage. I would dig into those people and ask them this question: how can I, as a realtor, purchase a home for $0 down? Because it is possible. There's actually a gal that I learned all this from in Dallas. Her name is Jordan Davis. So give credit where credit is due. Jordan Davis was talking to our leaders about wealth building. And because you are an agent, you could technically take all of the commission and contribute it towards the home, because you are going to get paid on that, right? So you can contribute all of what's happening at the table back into your deal. So if that is true, the technicality is that I could have a 20% 25% commission paid directly into my closing. So now I have essentially purchased a home with equity at zero down. Now, these are also going to be very special conditions, and you've got to be able to have a ton of wow, I'm at a loss for words. Disclosures, gosh, disclosures. You have to have a ton of disclosures, but yet you could truly go in, find somebody who is in a dire situation that just needs to get out from under their home and have the ability to purchase it with 25% of the commission and all of that going into your closing costs. And so now you've essentially purchased a home for $0. I think we need to start educating ourselves as agents on how we could even be the iBuyer in some of the situations for our clients. What happens when some of them get so into the sticks of all of this as it changes, as the economy changes, and they're going to be needing some things from us. So I would encourage you to talk to your mortgage broker and say, hey, I know there's a way in which I could do this. How do I do it? And if you want to, you're welcome to message me privately offline, and I can get you connected to some of the information, but I will not by any means pretend like I'm an expert, because there are a lot of things that you got to make sure are connected to your broker, disclosures to the seller, and making sure that your mortgage lender understands exactly what you're doing. So iBuyers is a big piece of the puzzle, guys. You can become your own iBuyer and start building your wealth and your equity in real estate. So consider that. Some of your people need that as a tool. If you haven't considered it, I hope you do. The second thing, video. Using video, I'm going to just put a statement out there. There's a lot of people who have said, oh, well, this will be easy. I'll just go into the home and I'll FaceTime and I'll show my client or my buyers what the home looks like, and everything will be okay and they can tour homes that way. I am going to tell you right now, that is probably a bad idea unless you have explicit permission from the seller. If you're doing this on your own, it can be an issue. I'm not going to pretend to give you any legal advice. I'm just going to advise you against that. Unless you have a document that's very clear and concise that says and states that you have explicit permission, be careful about that. Okay, that's just my caveat there. But we do need to be using video at a high level. If you do not already, you need to start considering what it looks like to use Zoom. I use Google Meet a ton. I think Google Meet is a really good tool. I have an enterprise account because I'm a Keller Williams agent. All Keller Williams agents do. So you've got the free access to like the upper level, but all of them have a basic level moment going on. And here's the thing though, if you're going to be utilizing video conferencing and you haven't ever done it, you need to be able to understand how to use it. So practice it. Get on a program, play with it, log yourself in and see how everything goes, know how to use it. But here's the thing. You need to do a couple of kind of housekeeping moments. One is make sure that any document you may have people connecting to, they have access to. So email it to them ahead of time so that they have it, so they can watch it, so they can work with you through it. If you're going to be doing a listing consultation, make sure that they understand the paperwork. Make sure you can present it. So know how to take your screen and go into presentation mode without disrupting the presentation and not having a random picture of yourself up there. So video conferencing is a big tool. I use it all the time, and I have been for about 2 years. It's becoming a newer thing, which is funny because it's been around for a very long time. And yet we can have a very one-on-one conversation without feeling disconnected. And so I would highly encourage you to start investing in a camera. If your computer doesn't do a camera, a light, because it really makes a difference if your light is on. Like I'm going to tell you, like if I cut my light off, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's a very different experience than if I had a light on and I have good light and we can actually see each other. Our facial expressions are there. I know it sounds silly to go into such little nitty-gritty moments of it, but I'm going to tell you, in a time where video, like, or a virtual space is happening, the disconnect or the ability to break rapport happens faster if you can't see the full functioning of the face. Your face tells everything. You can see when they furrow their brow. You can see when they move their eyes. You can catch their moments of touching their face. Don't touch your face. You can see how their body language. We've got to be able to see the body language of what's happening. So if I'm going to
55% of communication is body language.
Yeah, there you say that one more time, bro.
55% of communication is body language.
55% of communication is body language. If I can't see your body, I don't know what's happening. Now that's obviously within reason. And your face is a big piece to the puzzle. Your face gives all the clues for friendship. If you really want to, I'm going to put this in there. There's a book called the like switch. So all of you who are trying to figure out what you do while you have extra time on your hands, you better be reading. So understand the use of video conferencing. The other thing I'm going to say, so for Keller Williams, we launched our consumer app, and within our consumer app, so moving on into the kind of a little bit of segment, in that consumer app, there is a guide that you can scroll through and see all the buying process. It's a really easy tool to be able to connect somebody to and say, hey, I know you have our app. Just go ahead and look. And we're going to actually go through. I'm going to walk you through what it looks like to buy or sell your home via this app. I would encourage you that if you can get something, if you are not in KW and you don't have access to the app and to customize the app that way, and download the consumer app and play with it if you want to be able to kind of see what I'm talking about. But if you don't have that, there are ways in which you could create a landing page, go in and create a blog, find a free blog space, get your presentation online so that they can connect to it online, and you can easily go, hey, I'm going to send you a quick link. And then now they pull it up and they're on their phone and you're saying, hey, flip up to the picture of the key and stop there. The key to this moment, so like you have little visual, audio, and kinesthetic cues for them to learn. And here's the reason why I'm saying that. I'm pointing this out very specifically. If I am connecting with somebody virtually, there's already a disconnect happening because we're not face to face. It's just real. We know this is voyeuristic. And so I need to make sure that I'm giving you knowledge based off of the way that you learn. And I need to hit all three learning styles: visual, audio, and kinesthetic. And so if I look at all three of those options and I've got you and I've built a web page for my presentation, you have to physically interact with it. So now there's that a little bit of that physical, right? So that kinesthetic's happening. Audio, we're having a conversation and you're reading it. So I'm getting those things. And visual, like I've got it graphically and I'm pointing things out to you. So now I'm actually hitting all of the learning styles. And so I haven't created a learning disconnect. I've actually enhanced our learning opportunities. So when I'm looking at a consultation, I want you to be able to connect into all the information. So I have to utilize all of the tools that I have to make sure that you're connecting. If you need some free sources like WordPress, you can create a free WordPress that'll show, here's a picture, here's some text, here's a picture, here's some text, and some downloadable content. If you are wanting to pay for a service, or if some of you out there have a history in the graphical designing side of things, Adobe Spark has the ability to create some pretty neat pages. If you go to actually info.kwhouston.com, that is our online brochure. I built it in Adobe Spark. And so you can literally scroll through it and it cascades the photos and it makes it a really cool presentation. I would highly encourage that you go through and you make your presentation somewhere online so that somebody can connect to it. Keller Williams, you've got it in your app. If you're not in Keller Williams, you can utilize some of the free tools like a free blog space and then just have that link, create it, copy it, paste it, and blast it out to everybody, because now I am not stunted by my ability to connect because I've got the body language happening. Now I can physically help walk you through the process and you can have it in your hand on your phone. And I can watch all of it happening and know when rapport is being broken so I can get back into it, okay? So I know that these tools don't sound like these big, cool, hey, by the way, I'm letting you in on this little secret thing. These are already things that were available to us. We just weren't using them at the way that we can. So this is a best practices conversation when now we have to go into a virtual world, okay? The other thing when I look at virtual tours are going to be a big thing. I would start right now, if you haven't, start having conversations with all of your photographers about what it would look like for them to do a virtual tour of all of your listings. What would happen if before the end of the month, you can say without a doubt, hey guys, here's the thing. I care about your ability to sell your home. Every single one of my homes has a virtual tour so I can protect your family. That's a really cool conversation. Matterport is obviously one of the leading people in the virtual tour spaces. So if you don't understand or know what I'm talking about with the virtual tours, go to Matterport. Actually, I've been looking at, I actually think one of the things that I'm trying to do right now is how can I create that as a service for my office. I am talking with the Matterport people currently to get pricing to see what I can do to make this a possibility for everybody. And so you individually can still go out and do this without anybody, without being at the default of anybody. You can control this and go get 3D tours done of your homes. And now you've created a safe space for your families. That's awesome. To be able to continue to bring that safe space to them is going to feel awesome. And you still have to do lead generation. And so when you do lead generation, somebody says, well, is now a good time? You can say, now's a great time. You know why it's a great time? Because anybody could come and tour your home without them ever stepping foot and still get your home sold for the market value that you deserve. It's a different conversation. We can use these conversations when we're utilizing the tools. So we've got iBuyer opportunities. I have stopped writing. We've got iBuyer. We've got video conferencing. What that says. What I say again, so we've got the get your stuff online. So I want you to be able to get your presentations online through a landing page or a web page. If you really need a different space to do it in, figure out if you can create it in a Facebook. What if you created a Facebook page and you invite somebody to come and get connected to it? There's a ton of options. We got to think creatively around it. We need to make sure that everything that we do can be 2 clicks. That you could send somebody a text message and they click on it and it's done. The ease of this process is going to be huge. You need to creatively think about how can we make this super simple and overly communicate every single thing that we do. Be a positive force that everything goes on. Today's day will be normal for me, and I'm going to show the world that. So moving into the next thing is going to be talking about social media. So we went to the Facebook. You need to understand the difference between marketing and lead gen when you're talking about your social media stuff. And so now is a time in which we can use a tool to make sure that people understand that we are normal. Okay, we need people to understand that we're normal. They need to see some significance of normal in your life. And here's what I mean. If I am a buyer or a seller in this current climate, and I'm looking at what's going on, and I'm consuming it all, and I'm watching all the stuff happening around me, and I'm watching the feds make decisions, and I'm watching leaders grasp at stuff. If I'm looking at all of this, I'm feeding from the chaos, but all of a sudden, I'm watching your feed every single day, and somehow you're still showing homes. Somehow you're still selling homes. You're writing contracts. Somehow you're still taking buyer consultations. Somehow you're still putting listings up. Somehow you're still going on and carrying on as life being normal. There's going to be something really significant about watching those moments of normal. Everybody's going to pay attention to that. And when they see that normal is happening, they're going to want to connect back to normal. I promise you, it is just, there's going to be a psychological shift once we're done consuming from the chaos. We're going to wait and we're going to desire to have normal come back into our world. And if you have always been a presence for normal, then that is going to be my place for sanity. So right now, more than ever, people need to see the normal version of you. And that's for 2 reasons. 1, what I just said, they need to be able to plug back into sanity. But 2, if I am used to being present with people all day long, and now I am 99% of my time is spent in my home alone, I'm going to crave the connection with people. And the people that I see the most are going to be the people that I'm connecting to. And so on your Facebook pages, on your Instagram pages, on your Snapchats, on your Marco Polo, on all of your stuff, they need to see you. And this is what they need to see. Happy, positive, non-political, non-crazy, non-everything that is in the chaos bucket. They need to see normal you who is going on life as normal and that is bringing back positive into the space of social media. When they see that, that's a marketing tool, right? When they see that, they're going to connect back to you as their version of sanity. And then your conversations can be so much easier and simpler to get into a one-on-one space. Now I can easily say, hey, I noticed you commented on my page that you really were excited about me doing blah, 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 blah. can I help you do that too? Because that's really easy for me. And again, that's a very vague conversation, but yet like it gives us the opportunity to have a one-on-one that's way more significant than what it ever has been before. I would encourage you to be cognizant about the giving economy. I've said this a couple of times today already. The giving economy. What do you have in abundance that you could give back to the world? Because not all of us have a shit ton of money. Not all of us have a lot of possessions. Not all of us have a lot of anything, but every single one of us do have something in abundance that we could give back to this world. And I would find a way in which you can give that back. Find a way to significantly give back to the people who are around you. The giving economy is going to be the place where you are going to find growth. Give back as much as you can right now. Some people need you in their life. They don't know you're in their life if they can't see you. Social media now as a tool is showing them normal. And you need to show that the real estate world is normal. The minute real estate agents get online and they start talking about the crisis of home, the world hears crisis of home, and that's the story they believe. You are 100% going to be the story that people read. So be the story. This is your moment to create raving fans. This is a space to be able to create advocates. You need to be using it as a tool to create those advocates so that then when you call on them, they're willing, ready, and able to listen, to have a conversation, okay? It's a really great opportunity to use that as a tool. I don't know if you've thought about that yet and how good you are at the social media side of things. All of your advertisement and all that stuff, I'm not going to speak to that. You can do that however you want to, but be normal. Let people see you as a positive force. Let you be the sanity in their life. And I promise you, in that giving culture, they're going to connect back to you being the person that they want to be around. And it just so happens that you're a real estate professional. Because they will say, oh my gosh, the real estate agent you need to talk to, it's Randy. He's brilliant. They've never had a real estate transaction with me ever. What they're speaking from is a space that they know that I am trustworthy, I can help, and that I will help. Okay? Because I showed up and did it in a space that wasn't real estate. They believe it's true in every other space as well. Okay, too much time on that, and I apologize, but that really is a big piece to the puzzle, guys. It really, really is. Profit and loss. So let's pause for a second. Profit and loss statements. Profit and loss statements. Real estate agents, 99.9% of us suck at math. Why profit and loss statement is a tool right now is that many of us will be looking at our budget thinking, how can I survive if things shift? I don't know how to answer that question unless I understand what the money's doing. There's a great book called Shift. I would highly encourage all of you to get it and to read it. I heard rumor actually that it was going to be released on Amazon for free in the audiobook section. So go check that out. Like, from what I understand, I don't know when it's happening or how it's happening, but the authors of the book, Gary Keller, he wants to give it away. And so it's going to be out there. So check on that. You can fact check me if you want to Google it, but I did hear a rumor that was going to happen. In that book, it says this: when things were happening, your money was smart. When the world derailed it, your money just became stupid. Our money became stupid overnight. Every single dollar that we spend needs to be evaluated. We really need to stop and take a look at our budgets and know what and how we can spend our money to make sure it's most effectively moving our business forward. We got to tighten our belts. Profit and loss statement is a tool because it is my ability to play stop and go. I can't play stop and go with my budget unless I know what my budget is. There's a lot of great tools out there. I actually have a guy who has built, there's another book called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. In there, there's budgeting models in there. The guy in our office that kind of does those kind of things, he created a spreadsheet that takes those models and he puts it into formula fashion so that then you can just fill in all of the information and it automatically spits out where your budget should be. Is it on point? Is it not? How do you readjust your budget so that you can make sure that you're back on track? But I'm telling you right now, more than ever, profit and loss statements are a tool for your business. And it's your ability to say yes and no to things. It's your ability to go in and say, Can I actually spend money on this or shouldn't I? Can I actually do this or shouldn't I? Can I make a move towards next and reappropriate my budget so that I can move in the right direction, or can't I? And I don't know how to answer that question. I will literally be blindly throwing darts at a board, hoping that something sticks if I don't know the facts behind it. And I don't know the facts behind it if I don't know my profit and loss. I am going to do a class on Friday at 9 a.m. It's in the log roll of all the classes that we're doing with the guy, David Snook, who created that profit and loss Excel sheet. We're going to talk about budgeting models and how you can get your budget into model and understand how your money can be used for you. If you don't, today's the day you start tracking. Here's the simplest thing that you do. Take your bank statement and go through and highlight everything that you spent as a cost into your business. Go highlight everything you spent as a cost into your business and start adding those numbers up. And you're going to start paying attention to how some of your dollars that you're spending are going to be stupid dollars here in this downturn, okay? Your tool is your profit and loss statement, okay? Handwritten letters. All right, so let me go back and make sure that I'm writing these things down. Social media as a positive force. That stands for social media. And then we're going into the profit and loss statement, P&L. And if you need some of this stuff, guys, I can send you these files when I've got all this stuff ready to go. Handwritten letters. Buy a stamp, send a letter. There's nothing other than that. The human connection is going to be really important. And again, I want to just kind of go back to the psychological side of this. We all want our tribes, and we've all been cut off for our tribes. We all want our tribes, and we've all been cut off from our tribes. A handwritten letter is a thing that looks like sacrifice in this day and age. When it was easy to send a text, to be able to write a handwritten letter, to tell somebody how you care for them, tell somebody how special you are, or just to encourage somebody, will go miles beyond measure. Because right now, we're going to want to make sure that we can preserve our tribes. A handwritten letter is a really important way in which we can preserve our tribes, in which we can show people that we care, and we can be present with them, even though we're not present with them. There's nothing better than getting a postcard when somebody went on vacation to know that they were thinking about you. Well, we're kind of in a really weird vacation mode right now. Send people letters, send people cards. Make sure they know that you're thinking of them. It's really interesting right now because I don't know that we're playing enough of the mindset game to understand that as I have become isolated, I'm going to crave the interaction from the people who are in my tribe. Our tribes happen in multiple places. One of the biggest places is in our business. And even as individual agents or even agents on teams, doing the business going every which direction, there is still always this moment of camaraderie where we come together somewhere, somehow. All of our networking things have just been canceled. Can't go to a restaurant, can't go to a bar right now. So now I can't hang out with you. I've lost my tribe. My tribe has been cut off. That's why the video is important. That's why the handwritten cards are important. I know it sounds really simple, but your handwritten cards, sending those to the people who are in your database or in your tribe, will go miles to create raving fans. What you're doing in this time is to capitalize on raving fans so that then your advocates, once this starts to turn, are now exponentially shouting your name because of the way you show up now is proof that you care. Is proof that they can trust you, okay? And then the very last thing that I'm going to tell you, right now, you have time. You have a little bit of time. Right now, you have some of the time to be able to make sure that everything is a system. Your tool for the rest of your world, after this all ends, is systems. Every single thing you touch should be a system. And I mean that everything. I should have a system for every single thing that I do. I want you to go back and review your business and make it a system in absolutely every single thing that you do. Crystal, I know that you're on the call. I want you to make note of this. I want to send everybody. I created a spot check kind of checklist for my agents to be able to go through their business and look at everything that there is and to understand, do I have a system in this space that's going to help me move forward, and that I can take my brain out of it and let the system run so that then I can build relationships. This is a great time for you to put systems into everything so that then now the system runs. So you just run the play so that the relationship can be the focus. Run the system so that the relationship can be the focus. And so I'm going to have Crystal help me screenshot you guys. I'm going to have all of your names ready. I'm going to connect every single one of you to the document that's the checklist for systems. And it really is an exhaustive list to be able to go through and say, do I have everything set up in my business so much so that every situation that I get myself into, I will never be derailed ever again, because the play is going to run. And as the play runs, I can focus on the little minute things that help me build a relationship. It's about creating advocates. I hope you've seen this in this conversation. What we've talked about in these tools, it's about creating advocates. I want to be able to create advocates so that when things change, they may not be buying or selling with me now, but they will tell the world about me because I showed up right now and I showed myself to be trustworthy and that I can do something. I want to create advocates right now so that as the world turns, like the soap opera, as the world turns, I'm the one that's going to be able to continue to be in the business of real estate. It's going to be interesting, guys. But that does not mean that we can't come to the table with our ability to control it all and control the elements that are going to have the best effect in my world. Don't live at the default of anybody else. I know that these are simple and really easy kind of ideas to kind of put around tools. Nothing should have blown your mind. Nothing in this conversation should have blown your mind, but I hope you start looking at things a little bit different. That it can be a really interesting way to build raving fans by showing them how many options and how many opportunities there are. Don't stop. Keep moving forward. Every single day should be able to be one step forward. So I am, like all of my classes, leaving a little bit of space for us to be able to have conversation. I know that some of you are really phenomenal at having systems. Some of you are really phenomenal at some of the tools that you use. I'm even going to give kudos to some of the folks on the call. Ryan is brilliant. If you guys, I'm sure he'd be fine by it. Ryan is an ISA, inside sales agent guru. He runs a really phenomenal team in San Antonio. Annette does a lot of marketing. It's really good through Facebook, and she's got a lot of she's just good in that space, man. She can help anybody with some of those things. She's I met her at the Zillow Killer event, so she's really phenomenal in that space. Paige has watched her business turn around. So Paige is young in the business and figuring out, like, in her first downturn, what do I do next? A couple of new agents on the line here that probably looking at their experience could add in as well. So I'm going to leave this time open. So if y'all want to have some conversations, let's do this. So if you can unmute yourself, if you want to add in ahas, if you want to say anything that kind of blew your mind, or if you want to just be able to add in some of the things that you already currently do in your world, now's our time. We can share together and be better together. Here's a great tool, by the way, Ember mugs. Get the regular mug, though. Don't get the travel mugs. They're a little bit janky. These are brilliant. Nobody? How many of y'all just tuned me out and only had me playing in the background while you watched your Netflix special? Okay. I'm okay with cutting it off. If we want to cut off.
Randy, with any agent who has a Zoom consultation process. And so basically, when I came and taught a class at the Market Center, we didn't really touch on that, like a virtual consult. Have you talked to anybody that has had that, going for a while, or is this kind of something that you feel like now is like starting to be new with all the new agents?
Yeah, so I've seen it as new. I haven't had a whole lot of people who've done the virtual consults. I've been doing them for a while for agents, just in general, for like a business consultation. And so the biggest thing that I have found that are great tools. So when I look at one is to know how it works, so you're not building any other kind of distractions in. Because if I get in there and I don't know how it works, I just think I turn on the camera and I start talking. And then they say, well, what about X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, oh, well, let me show you the web page. And then I go, oh, well, I don't know how to share my screen. And then it shares a different screen. And then you've got to know how all of that connects so you don't create a distraction. And you've got to be able to have resources ready to be able to pull up. So if you have a presentation, know how to go into presentation mode. The thing that I have found that really helps was when I'm able to draw things out. Like I really use a lot of that. Zoom has a way, it has a connection to which if you have an iPad or an iPad Pro that you can use a pencil on, it can connect to that. And then I've done a ton of handwritten notes while going through that. So if you have the ability to do presentation and to bring in handwritten notes, I highly recommend it. It just helps to connect, again, just the multiple things to it. So I think consultations online or through like Zoom are really a great tool. It's just about the practice, because when it feels clanky, it will feel 10 times as clanky. And so it's about just making sure you practice it. So I would say there's a very few people that I've known who have done it. I don't know anybody, in all honesty, that's done it consistently enough so that then they could talk about best practices. My best practices tend to be from a consultation or business consultation standpoint. And so most of the time I'm standing in front of somebody, I've got enough chart paper to draw out the conversations we're having. So if you're a note taker, you got to find a way in which notes can be shared back and forth. And so there's a few little plugins for that. Zoom does it through the iPad that you can plug it in. I haven't played with Google Meet long enough to know whether or not I can start digging that in. But that's a great question. I would say just make sure that you've used it enough to where it's not going to be clunky.
Yeah, I will say our agents have found success by, at the very end, converting when they go through the buyer representation form with them. So being able to share your screen and go through it with them. Because at the very beginning, when we first started, like about 10 months ago, we would end the consultation and just say, hey, I emailed you the buyer representation form. Go ahead and fill that out. And they never would.
Yeah.
Our like conversion on taking clients went from about 50% to about 90%. By walking through it with them while on the video.
One of the ways, Ryan, that you just said something that would be really interesting is that, like, if you prep these calls and you send somebody, like if you know that you're going to hit the buyer's representation agreement, gosh, I email all that stuff to you. So maybe we don't have all the tools that we need in front of us. Maybe we don't have the money to spend. I can easily email you and say, hey, before we start this call, will you pull up your email and make sure that the attachments that we need to talk about today hit there, and they're really easy on your phone. So just go ahead and pull them up on your phone, and then we can walk through that. So now I don't have to end the conversation and go, okay, go look at your email. And so it's just about preparedness. I don't even know if that's a word.
Yeah, practice that script too, like making sure you're practicing it. And I think this is a great opportunity where you can have your team leader on there acting as a client, right? And then, you, whatever, and just really practicing how to navigate and then also script it as well.
Yeah. And here's I think one of the things, Ryan, that people win when they do consultations this way is that you don't see what's happening like underneath my desk. I could be wearing no pants right now, but you can't see all that, right? Now I am wearing pants. I'm wearing black pants in case you're curious. Got pants on. But like I could have like my script and I can look down, and it's not weird if I look down to reference what's happening and you don't feel like I'm disconnecting from you. And so I love the idea. Like I can walk you through the whole process, and you're not like, if you're sitting across the desk from me, you're going to see when I pick up a card to remember, like, hey, I need to remember all of my notes. Like I have every single one of my notes that I wanted to hit right down in front of me. And the whole time I just walked you through step by step, which could look weird if you're at a buyer consultation, but it doesn't look weird if you're sitting on there and you can't see what's happening underneath here. And I don't do this. Hold on. It just gives us the opportunity to again, be really effective at this. So Paige, I would love for you to chime in, if that's okay. Can you unmute yourself? Handwritten cards. Like, I just want you to talk about like the couple of things that happened in y'all's world since you got back from the big conference for Keller Williams.
So we just attended family reunion, and my mom and I both connected with a bunch of people and got cards and everything. And we hand wrote letters to everybody we met, and we got several responses back that were like so in shock, like they couldn't believe that we actually took time out to write them. Nobody else did that. So they said, without a doubt, we're sending you all of our Houston referrals.
Which is really cool. So I'm gonna I don't want to speak in a sense, it's going to sound negative, but I need to speak to the time frame that y'all been in the business. Paige, so how long have y'all been in the business?
My mom's been in almost 3 years, and I've been in almost a year and a half.
Okay. How many veterans of Houston are there? Like, how many veterans in Houston are there that like have big, huge businesses in Houston that have been around for a long time?
There's tons, millions.
Tons. And yet here, and because I know some of the people who are choosing y'all as their referral partner now, they do a ton of business in their world. And so if they've got connections, they've got connections. And now somebody who is a rookie in the business just took market share from monsters because of the simple task of writing a card and saying, hey, it was great connecting with you. Thank you for sharing some time with me at family reunion. It's our time to create raving fans, guys. I'm telling you right now, the biggest thing that we win is our ability to create raving fans. And we can even create raving fans from people that we've never met in our world because of the way we're showing up. Sweet. Anybody else have anything to add? If not, like, I'm okay to cut this off so you guys can go put things back into action. But that's the one thing that I would require of you. Let's just not be talking heads and listening consumers. Let's go back and take something from this space and put it into practice. It's all about putting these things into activity. Your world has been thrown a little bit, so find the triggers that are going to get you going back into your business and moving it forward. Every single day needs to be a step forward, okay? We good? We good. You're very welcome, Liz. I appreciate it. All right, guys. Y'all go be amazing. I'm going to cut off the recording, and then I don't know where I'll put this, but I'll put it somewhere later.